let's talk which one is the best mother foundation for your F1 Australian whites, which one is the more parasite resistant. It came up in the Facebook group, and so we're gonna dive. But first, let's make a little move real quick. All right, let's get these girls moving. Real quick, they already know what time it is. Come on, girls. Okay, so when it comes to picking your U foundation for your F1 and being worried about parasite, which is the biggest enemy in the sheep industry, in the sheep world, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I'm not gonna beat around the bushes. There's not gonna be anything better, in my opinion, than the Katahdin over the Royal White. Yes, some people say the St. Croix, but really, are we pushing for smaller sheep or are we pushing for bigger sheep? You can choose whichever foundation you want. Today's topic is between the Katahdins and the Royal Whites, because those are the ones I have. I have F1s on Katahdins, F1s on Royal Whites. And to me, the clear winner is the Katahdin. However, let's touch on something that we tend to forget, okay? System. Yes, we know the Katahdins are more naturally resistant to parasite because of the foundation they have with a lot of breeds that come from the Caribbean. That is, an environment that is very humid, a lot of parasite pressure down in the Caribbean. I'm from the Caribbean islands, so I can tell you that is that is a headache down there. But we have breeds down there that are very resistant to parasite. They've been bred for that. And the Katahdins have, I think, some of the sheep that were used to come up with the Katahdins are, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, some of it is also the black belly. That's what my grandpa used to have. So yes, the Katahdin is going to be the clear winner. However, the reasons why the Royal Whites are not as resistant, even though they have the St. Croix in it, and to me, St. Croix are, I could easily say, the kings of parasite resistance, is because the Royal White have the White Dorper genetics in it. The White Dorper is a breed that comes from Africa that was developed in areas that are very dry, not a lot of parasite pressure. And at least here in America, if you have Dorpers, you know that, I don't know why the Dorper is considered a parasite resistant sheep. That's just being honest. I'm not being cocky, I'm not being condescending. That's just true. I mean, sometimes I wonder if the Dorper should even be considered a hair sheep because they don't shed right. But the Royal White, which is a fairly new breed in America, developed in Texas, has a really good resistance to parasite. They're not bad at all, okay? Now that we've got that out the way, the one thing I want to communicate to you is not so much what sheep you're picking, but what is your system? If you're running a system that is not strict, that is not tight, you're gonna have issues with parasites. Here, we're running a pretty strict system. And what we do here, and as I have explained in all of my videos, is we rotate every 24 hours during the breakout of the growing season until we're done with our entire rotation cycle. And then once we feel that the first paddock has over 45 days of rest, we pull them out, back out to pastures, and they rotate every 48 hours per paddock. Typically, the parasites are going to start coming out after that 4th day. So you can see that even if you do have, let's just say you're just running pure Dorpers. If you're pulling your Dorpers out every 48 hours, the parasite larvae is not out of that the manure yet. So that puts you in a very safe system. Now you can pick whichever you want. I'm gonna work always with both. I'm always gonna have some Katahdins for my F1s. I'm always gonna have some Royal Whites. What I'm gonna do with my Royal Whites is I am gonna work them up to an F2 and create a fleet or a little flock of F2 with a Royal White foundation, so that I can run those as my commercial sheep. Anybody that wants to show up to the farm and buy sheep for meat, that's the one I'm gonna sell them, because to me, that has a better meat quality than the Katahdin Australian White mix. You put a Royal White with an Australian White, and to me, it has a better marble. You create a more muscular frame, and a lot of customers are gonna buy what their eyes are satisfied with. So hopefully this video helped. The clear winner in the parasite battle is always gonna be the Katahdin, but something that beats the Katahdin is your system. Hopefully this helped. God bless everybody.